Imagine a country where every citizen has a specific job. Some are teachers, some are engineers, some are farmers, some are police officers. Now imagine that every citizen follows strict laws. They work when needed. They rest when their work is complete. When they become old, they peacefully retire. Because everyone obeys the rules, the country remains peaceful. Now imagine one citizen suddenly refuses to obey any law. He starts building houses wherever he wants. He convinces others to join him. He ignores the police. He steals food. He destroys roads. Soon, that peaceful city becomes chaotic. This is exactly what happens inside our body during cancer. Cancer is not an infection. Cancer is not caused by a single organism. Cancer is actually our own cells that forget the rules of civilization. Today, we are going to travel inside this microscopic city and understand how normal cells slowly transform into cancer cells. By the end of this tutorial, you won't simply memorize terms like hyperplasia or dysplasia. You'll understand the entire story behind them. Our body is made of nearly 37 trillion cells. Each cell has three responsibilities. First, perform its assigned function. Second, divide only when new cells are needed. Third, die when its life is over. This natural programmed death is called apoptosis. Think of apoptosis like retirement. Old employees retire so younger employees can replace them. If old workers never retired, there would soon be no room for new workers. Similarly, if damaged cells refuse to die, they begin accumulating. Cancer begins when cells lose the balance between cell division and cell death. Instead of working for the body, they start working only for themselves. Cancer is therefore a disease of uncontrolled cell growth caused by genetic mutations that disrupt normal cellular regulation. This cell wakes up every morning. It checks the body's signals. Does the tissue need repair? If yes, the cell divides once. If no, it remains quiet. Every decision is controlled by traffic signals called the cell cycle checkpoints. These checkpoints ensure DNA is healthy, division is necessary, and the environment is safe. If DNA damage is detected, repair enzymes immediately fix the problem. If the damage is too severe, the cell activates apoptosis. In other words, a normal cell would rather sacrifice itself than risk harming the entire body. That is true cellular responsibility. Now imagine one unlucky day. The cell's DNA is damaged, maybe because of radiation, tobacco smoke, chemical carcinogens, viral infection, or spontaneous mutation. Normally, this damage would be repaired. But suppose the repair system itself is damaged. Now the mutation survives. The cell divides. Its daughter cells inherit the mutation. Each generation accumulates more mistakes. Slowly, the obedient citizen transforms into a criminal. Not overnight. Cancer develops gradually, sometimes over decades. Before a true cancer forms, cells often pass through several stages. Think of these as different chapters in our story. Imagine an empty village. No houses, no citizens, no development. That is aplasia. An organ or tissue completely fails to develop. The builders never arrive. For example, in bone marrow aplasia, blood cells cannot be produced. Now imagine a village with only 10 houses when there should have been 100. The village exists, but it is undersized. That is hypoplasia. Cells are fewer than normal because insufficient development occurred. Now imagine a once busy city. People begin leaving. Buildings become abandoned. Factories shut down. The city shrinks. That is atrophy. Cells decrease in size or number because they are no longer needed or have lost stimulation. Examples include muscle wasting, brain shrinkage, or reduced gland size. Instead of hiring more workers, each worker starts doing extra work. They become larger and stronger. This is hypertrophy. Cells increase in size, not number. A classic example is in large skeletal muscles after exercise. Now imagine the city hires more workers. The buildings remain the same size, but the population increases. That is hyperplasia. Cells increase in number. This can be completely normal, like during wound healing or hormonal stimulation. However, persistent hyperplasia may increase the chance of mutations. Now comes an interesting event. Imagine all the taxi drivers suddenly become bus drivers. The workers are still disciplined, but they changed professions. This is metaplasia. One mature cell type is replaced by another mature cell type better suited to withstand stress. For example, smoking changes the respiratory epithelium from ciliated columnar cells into stratified squamous cells. Initially, this is protective, but prolonged stress may push these cells toward cancer. Sometimes cells become more specialized. They improve their skills, like an ordinary student becoming a highly trained surgeon. This increased specialization is called prosoplasia. Although discussed less often today, it represents enhanced cellular differentiation. Now the city begins losing organization. Buildings are randomly constructed. Roads are crooked. Citizens ignore regulations. Everyone behaves differently. This is dysplasia. Cells vary in shape, size, orientation, and organization. The architecture becomes abnormal. Importantly, dysplasia is not yet cancer, but it is a warning sign. High-grade dysplasia carries a significant risk of progressing into malignancy if the underlying cause persists. Eventually, the abnormal population no longer depends on normal body signals. It keeps growing even when growth should stop. This uncontrolled new growth is called neoplasia. The word literally means new formation. The mass produced is called a neoplasm or tumor. Not every tumor is cancer. This is where we classify tumors according to their biological behavior. Imagine a family that builds one illegal house. It remains in one location. It doesn't invade neighbors. It grows slowly. This is a benign tumor. Benign tumors grow slowly, remain well differentiated, are often encapsulated, do not metastasize, and are usually less dangerous. Examples include lipoma and uterine fibroid. Sometimes the surrounding tissue reacts defensively. Fibroblasts produce dense collagen. It's like citizens building thick concrete walls around an invading neighborhood. This excessive fibrous reaction is called desmoplasia. Many carcinomas produce a prominent desmoplastic stroma. Now imagine organized criminals. They ignore all laws. They destroy nearby buildings. They travel to distant cities. They occupy new territories. This is a malignant tumor. Malignant tumors grow rapidly, invade surrounding tissues, destroy normal organs, and spread through blood or lymphatic vessels. This spreading process is called metastasis, which is responsible for most cancer-related deaths. Eventually, the criminal cells become almost impossible to recognize. Originally, they were liver cells. Now they no longer resemble liver cells. They lose differentiation. This complete loss of specialized features is called anaplasia. The more anaplastic a tumor, the more aggressive it usually becomes. Under the microscope, normal cells resemble identical soldiers. They have the same size, the same nucleus, and the same organization. Cancer cells look completely different. Some are giant, some are tiny, some have enormous nuclei, some divide abnormally. This variation is called pleomorphism. Large, dark, irregular nuclei are referred to as nuclear atypia. Pathologists use these microscopic features to estimate the aggressiveness of a tumor. Cancer can also be classified according to the tissue from which it originates. Think of the body as different professions inside the kingdom. Different professions give rise to different cancers. Carcinomas arise from epithelial tissues. These tissues cover body surfaces and line internal organs such as the skin, lungs, breast, colon, and prostate. Since epithelial tissue is present throughout the body, carcinomas account for nearly 80 to 90% of all human cancers. Sarcomas arise from connective tissues. These include bone, muscle, cartilage, fat, blood vessels, and fibrous tissue. Sarcomas are much rarer than carcinomas, but often affect younger individuals. Teratomas are among the most fascinating tumors. Imagine one confused stem cell trying to build an entire miniature body. Instead of forming only one tissue, it creates hair, teeth, bone, cartilage, muscle, or even nervous tissue within the same tumor. These tumors originate from pluripotent germ cells and may contain tissues derived from multiple embryonic layers. The scientific discipline devoted to studying, diagnosing, preventing, and treating cancer is called oncology. Medical oncologists manage chemotherapy and systemic therapies. Surgical oncologists remove tumors. Radiation oncologists use ionizing radiation to destroy cancer cells. Pathologists confirm the diagnosis through microscopic examination, grading, and staging. Together, they form a multidisciplinary team dedicated to cancer care. Let us return to our city one final time. A healthy body is a perfectly organized civilization. Cells are born, they work, they communicate, they retire peacefully. Cancer begins the moment a few cells stop respecting the rules. First comes adaptation. Sometimes the tissue shrinks, sometimes it grows, sometimes it changes its identity, sometimes it becomes disorganized. Finally, the cells become independent. They invade, they spread, they conquer. Cancer is therefore not a sudden event. It is a long biological journey, starting from tiny molecular mistakes and ending in uncontrolled cellular rebellion. Understanding each stage of that journey is the first step toward preventing, diagnosing, and treating one of humanity's most challenging diseases. Cancer biology is therefore not merely the study of tumors, it is the study of how order becomes disorder, how normal cells lose their identity, and how science continuously strives to restore balance to the remarkable city we call the human body. Thank you for watching. If you found this content useful, please subscribe to our channel. Click the bell icon to receive updates on our latest educational content.